Hello and welcome to the Gradual Report. My name is Danny. I'm your best friend on the internet. Today, we're going to review the book of Leviticus. It's in the Bible!
Welcome to the Gradual Report, where we gradually report.
I just want to be clear before we start reading this book of Leviticus that I have formed no opinion whatsoever on it in being raised as a devout Christian my entire life. And I've dressed appropriately because I don't want God to see my face. Alright, let's move on. Ahem. Laws for burning offerings. That's how the book starts. It's very, very interesting. If his offering is a burnt offering from the herd, he shall offer the male without blemish. He shall bring it to the entrance of the tent and meeting, and he will accept it before the Lord. Okay, so people have to give offerings to Jesus, to baby Jesus or Korean Jesus or whichever Jesus it is that happens to be presiding that day. Well, that's also very important. I guess God doesn't want any animals with blemishes. That's what I'm getting. Maybe people bringing like the leftover food and God was like, no leftover food. You bring the new stuff. I want the good stuff. Laws for sin offerings. Here we go. If the whole congregation of Israel sins unintentionally, and the thing is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they do any one of the things by the Lord's commandments ought not to be done, and they realize their guilt, when the sin which they have committed becomes known, the assembly shall offer a bull from the herd for a sin offering, and bring it in front of the tent meeting, and the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before the Lord, and the bull shall be killed before the Lord. And the anointed priest shall bring some of the blood of the bull into the tent of the meeting, and the priest shall dip his fingers in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil. That sounds like something that's just like fucking awesome to witness, doesn't it? What? Dip your fingers in the blood of the bull. God, what is that on my nose? I have a little schmitzvaka on my nose. It seems to me that this was like a whole other time and place. I don't know. I've never seen a bull killed. There's a lot of weird stuff where you dip your fingers in the blood, apparently. And the priest shall make anointment before him, and the Lord... Okay, so if you do anything wrong, give money to the priest. I get it. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take Aaron and his sons, and the garments, and the anointing oil, and the bull of the sin offering, and the 2 rams, and the basket of unleavened bread, and assemble all the congregation at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. And Moses did as the Lord had commanded, and the congregation assembled in the blah, 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 blah. Wow. Now this is kind of an interesting little passage here. I didn't realize this was in Leviticus. I thought this was in the Bear Grylls Survival Guide to Eating Bugs, but apparently it's in Leviticus. Check this out. All winged insects that go on all 4s are detestable to you. Yet among the winged insects that go on all 4s, you may eat those that have jointed legs above their feet, with which hop on the ground. Of them you may eat the locust of any kind, the bald locust of any kind, a cricket of any kind, and a grasshopper of any kind. But all the other winged insects that have 4 feet are detestable to you. There you have it, from God's mouth. Straight to your ears, you can eat grasshoppers and crickets and bald locusts of any kind. Did not know that was in the Bible. Now, some of the unclean animals are a little funny though, because it's not really survival based, is it here? Nevertheless, among the true cud hoof, the camel, because it chews the cud but does not part of the hoof, is unclean to you. Camel is unclean to you. The rock badger is unclean to you. The rabbit is unclean to you. The pig, also unclean to you. So don't eat any of those things, although they are perfectly edible, which makes me wonder, maybe there was some sort of disease back in the day. I don't know. God said so, okay? Okay. Every swarming thing that swarms on the ground is detestable. It is not to be eaten. Do not eat swarming things. Purification after childbirth. Well, that sounds like a fun little paragraph. Oh. And the Lord spoke to Moses. Speak to the people of it. If a woman conceives and bears a male child, then she shall be unclean for 7 days. At the time of her menstruation, she shall be unclean. And on that 8th day, the flesh of the forsaken skin shall be circumcised. Foreskin, not forsaken. I don't know why I read that. But if she bears a female child, then she shall be unclean for 2 weeks, as in her menstruation, and she shall continue the blood of her purifying for 66 days. Wow! That is not interesting at all.
It seems to me that this culture didn't place as high a value on females as they did on males.
Laws about leprosy. Well, we can pretty much skip this because leprosy doesn't really exist anymore today thanks to modern science and stuffs. Laws about bodily discharges. Leviticus 15. I think that's important. I think we should read this part. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, of course, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when a man has a discharge from his body, his discharge is unclean." It's a good thing God told them that. "And this is the law of his uncleanliness for this discharge, whether his body runs with his discharge or his body is blocked up by his discharge." Constipation. It is his uncleanliness. It certainly is. Every bed on which one with discharge lies shall be unclean, and everything on which he sits shall be unclean, and anyone who touches his bed shall wash his clothes and bathe him in the water that be unclean until the evening. And whoever sits on anything which one has discharged has sat shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And whoever touches the body of one with the discharge shall wash his hands and bathe himself in water and be unclean until evening. Seems like if you shit your bed, wash it. I could have just paraphrased, wash. Wash yourself. And then they go on for like, how many chapters? How many verses? 25 verses? If a woman is discharged of blood, oh my God. Every bed in which she lies, all the days of her discharge shall be impurity, unclean, impurity, wash. Well, there we go. So basically, they had a real big problem with people playing with their own shit, apparently, and we had to make it a law.
I have the beard of Abraham. Look, it's a big, flowy beard.
Leviticus. Unlawful sexual relations. Now, at this point in the book of Leviticus, everyone seems to take a really long time explaining all the people you're not allowed to have sex with, but the way they put it is, you shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife, for it is your father's nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your sister, your father's daughter, your mother's daughter, were you brought up in family or another home. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your son's daughter, your daughter's daughter, or the nakedness of your own nakedness. You can't uncover the nakedness of your own nakedness. The nakedness of your father's daughter, your father's wife's daughter, brought up in your father's family since she's your sister, you should not uncover the nakedness of your father's sister. She's your father's relative. You should not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister. All I can say to this is, how many people were having intermarital relations, you know, for them to actually really need to spell it all out? I mean, I'm getting the image here that everybody was fucking everybody all the time in shit-stained sheets. And God was like, okay, enough. Disease and pestilence. Let's stop thisness. P.S. Only eat the grasshoppers. Turns out death is the punishment of choice here. Lots of people dying for lots of stuff. If you sleep with your brother, your punishment is death. If you sleep with another man, you're supposed to be put to death. Lots of death being spread around. If you sleep with an animal, you'd be put to death. If you're a woman and you're approached by any animal and you lie with it, you will surely kill the woman and the animal. Put to death. What else do you put to death? You put to death everything. If a man sleeps with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall be put to death. If a man lies with a male, as he would with a woman, both of them have committed abomination, they'll be put to death. Death. Death is it's a little heavy. It's a little heavy to be kind of like, hey, if you eat the wrong grasshopper, you will be put to death. Final summation.
As a book written by the people that God spoke to, Leviticus is an interesting study. Apparently, one can glean from this that there were problems with eating things and people having sex with everyone. So they wanted to stop you from eating bugs that were poisonous and stop you from having sex with everybody. And stop shitting the sheets. And to do this, they said if you eat anything or you shit the sheets or you have sex with a bunch of people you're related to, we're gonna kill you. And I guess it worked. I guess it worked. For that time period, for that place and time, that's how they dealt with their problems. Yeah. Is it appropriate for today's place and time? Well, death seems a bit harsh, you know. We're kind of right away. I don't know, why don't you tell me in the comments below? Let's start a religious fight, shall we? I love you, my little lemon drops. Join us on Friday when I don't talk about the Bible.